Hello and welcome to this week's Mugging Up Punch podcast, hosted by me, Gareth. He wasn't here last week because he wasn't feeling very well. He did have a rather fevered dream about a torrid love affair with Jenna Louise Coleman, only to find out the next day she's pregnant. I'm not saying it was me.
Do you realise your wife is watching this?
Yeah, I've told her that joke already, so I know how it'll land. So anyway, how are we doing, Keith? You weren't ill or suffering from
I'm good.
flatulence?
No, I had a couple of days away in the week. It was very nice. Come back, not done a lot. Played a little bit of. I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order again, actually, and going. Is this actually the best Star Wars in Disney's era? I don't think it is. It's either that or Andor. But I actually still think it's a really good story and it works. And yes, I've been playing Fallen Order a bit and watching Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. And it's really good, even though Wesley Crusher's in it.
No, you've ruined it now. I'm not even going to touch it.
No, I'll tell you what. When he turned up, I went, ugh. No, like that. But he wasn't Will Wheaton. He was, in fact, it's quite interesting. He's manic.
Oh, was he voiced by someone else?
No, it is Will Wheaton, but you know when he was in Picard season 2, it was Will Wheaton making a cameo as Will Wheaton, right?
Yeah.
This time they've actually given him a character to play, and he's playing a bit of a wacky. He's manic. The only criticism I've got is this is set just after Nemesis, right? And they showed, and Beverly makes a cameo in it. But Beverly looks like Beverly from Picard season 4, even though she should have ginger hair, and literally she's just had Picard's son. So she should still be ginger, and she looks really old, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's the only criticism. Chakotay's in it and he's brilliant. It feels like Star Trek, even though it's a kids' cartoon.
The story behind Robert Beltran.
I've heard some rumours
about the last 2 seasons. He just didn't give a fuck anymore. Did you know that?
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, I can't be bothered with this crap. That was literally just like, he's been really good in this. He doesn't turn up until I mean, there is the kids cartoon and it follows the kids, but it's Star Trek. You know, it's hopeful. It's what Star Trek was. It feels like the Federation are not the bad guys, right? Although you've got the odd dodgy admiral because they bring back what's his face who was the dodgy senator in Stargate and was in Star Trek, who played like a bit of a dodgy admiral. Ronnie Cox.
No. It might be.
He played Dick Jones. Anyway. He played Dick Jones in RoboCop. He played the captain that took over, Jellicoe.
Yes, Jellicoe. That's it. So we've got Admiral Jellicoe being Admiral Jellicoe in it, trying to get Janeway to come back and everything. And there's a lot of legacy stuff in it. It is kiddie in places, but it's hopeful. It's full of it's full of light. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it is. It's what it's got the core essence of Star Trek, and it's the best fucking Star Trek I've seen out of Kurtzman. I mean, it genuinely is really good. It's watchable. It's enjoyable in places. I mean, we've just had an episode with Tribbles, which was quite amusing.
Hang on. Say that again. It was the best one since Kurtzman, yeah?
Yeah.
Of Kurtzman thing. All right, I'm kicking off the stream because he's just wrong. I don't care what he says. He's just plain wrong.
I'm saying it's the best best Trek in his era. I'm not. I don't think Kurtzman cancelled it, didn't he? So for fuck's sake, I mean, he's cancelled the best Star Trek. He hasn't made Picard season 4 or Star Trek Legacy. The guy's a moron. But Prodigy season 2 on Netflix, watch it. It is Star Trek. It's I said this about season 1, but even more so in this, it is a sequel to Voyager.
Okay.
So if Janeway's in it, Chakotay's in it, the Doctor's in it, Severance is great. In fact, brilliant. Robert Picardio in it, very funny moments. If you were a Voyager fan, you're going to love this.
Okay. All right. My answer to that is this.
You're a cunt.
Right, that'll do. I'm such a bastard. Okay, so I describe this as a match made in hell. Yeah. Now, if you'd have come back in, let's say, like 2009 maybe, there's an upcoming event which is going to have Star Trek and Doctor Who together. Yeah, it's going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, and it celebrates Intergalactic Friendship Day, and it's going to have Alex fucking Kurtzman and Rusty Tin Dildo running the show.
But
so it's on July 30th. It's Hall H.
Yeah.
It's July the 30th. I think it's going to be empty.
I don't
Or
think
it's
it
going to
is,
be,
'cause
or it's going to be full of people who are going to be booing and hissing.
I mean, I first heard about this on Friday Night Tights, and Carrie went, "I'm going to that. I am going." It's like, yep, this is gonna. I tell you, if I was at San Diego, I'd be in there like a shot. I would be in this one. Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Vandals.
I was never, how can I put it politely? I was never a big fan of. I was a bigger fan of Stephen Moffat writing than Russell T Davies, and I can safely say that Stephen Moffat's a better fucking writer, whether you like it or not.
I know he's a better writer. I mean, under Russell T Davies is. I've always said that he wrote the best episodes under Russell T Davies. But
you have to, Keith. You're gonna have to remember that Russell T Davies had a lot of help from Stephen Moffat.
Well, this is if it's true. I mean, Davies did write Midnight. He did write Tennant's final episodes, which were good. Arguably, the Davros episodes were quite good. Where he brought all the things. He was responsible for Torchwood, and so I generally liked some of Torchwood. But Moffat created Captain Jack, so and Moffat wrote Blink, which is still one of the greatest episodes of Doctor Who ever.
And Silence in the Library.
Library was good, but it wasn't Blink.
It's still good. Oh, dude, no, watch it again, and you'll go.
His two-parters were great. I mean, the way we first meet Captain Jack, "Are You My Mummy?" Fucking brilliant episodes. He wrote the best episodes under Russell T Davies. Hands down, he wrote the best.
Oh no, he wrote better episodes under himself.
He
did. Yes, he did. He did.
Blink,
I can prove it.
Blink is still the best episode, and that was under Russell T Davies.
I would argue Heaven Sent's better.
Write Matt Smith's entry episode was
11th Hour.
Was the 11th Hour was
entry of any Doctor ever.
Fantastic. Those last few episodes of Matt Smith's era were fantastic. You've got the sequel to the 50th under when it was what's his face, and you had that speech about war that was just incredible.
Oh yeah.
And then you had his final speech as well, although that last season was a bit hit and miss. The Cybermen final episodes I still find a bit too dark for Doctor Who in places.
Have you all right, have you got Spotify?
Yes.
Okay, go on Spotify and look up Doctor Who's Spare Parts. It's a Cyberman story. Listen to it. It's got Peter Davison in it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you'll understand why it's like that, because it was based off the back of Spare Parts.
I get it. I can understand why that switched some people off. I thought the very final episode was a better episode, because it was less dark. But there were moments in there where you had the two masters. You had Missy, and again, to me, she's still, you know, she is proof that women can play these parts when you cast the right actress. You know, I still believe a woman can play the Doctor when you cast the right actress. But they haven't, and that's the problem. They haven't cast the Doctor well since Peter Capaldi. They haven't. I know there was a lot of people that sort of didn't like Capaldi, but I like Capaldi. But this is just going to be funny. People are going to turn up. People are going to turn up, and they're gonna say, you know, I mean, I had rumors that Kurtzman had been fired anyway. I mean, Paramount are being purchased, aren't they? So, I think.
Oh yes, they are by Skydance.
Yeah.
Oh right, hang on a second. Can I just? Could you just? How fucking smug do those two bastards look?
I don't know. Kurtzman just looks like Kurtzman, but Russell T Davies looks smug. He has been looking particularly smug recently, and yeah, he's got the lowest rated Doctor Who of all time. I know it's not down to the fact that it's just on the iPlayer. 3 million on average views, including 7 days worth of iPlayer in the UK. That's the lowest rated Doctor. That's lower rated than What's Her Face, and that's saying something.
What I still can't get over is the fact that Chibnall did a better fucking 60th than Davies. That's what I can't get over. Seriously, I hate Chibnall, but if I look back at his episode, he at least got the idea of what you were supposed to do for a fucking 60th episode. So, yeah.
No, those 60ths were terrible. They were celebrating Russell T Davis's ego, and the guy's totally lost it. I mean, people are going, "Oh, he's woke." It's not even that he's woke. He's lost it. And that's just not. Do you know? I tell you what. I've got something. You give me some homework. I'll give you some homework. There is a YouTube channel called Heretic, right? And he interviews people on there. And he interviewed the gay guy that was in Notting Hill. Do you remember the really funny guy in Notting Hill? He was the assistant in the bookshop in the film, and he was everywhere. I think he was in Ab Fab. I mean, he was everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he disappeared off the face of the earth. And he did have a bit part in House of Dragon season 1, right? They interview him because he dared to agree with J.K. Rowling. It's an hour-long interview, and I tell you what, he articulates eloquently what I've been thinking about all of this bullshit, right? And he does it perfectly. And you need to watch this interview, because it's really, this is a homosexual guy growing up who genuinely was persecuted for being gay, right? Talking about how misogynistic the trans movement is. It's brilliant. It's really well done, and it's eloquently put, and I really feel for him. And he was, I mean, I remember him in Notting Hill. He was the assistant, the very camp assistant that worked in the bookshop, not Reef Evans, the very camp sort of Welsh flatmate. He was the bookkeeper. But he was everywhere at one point. And he got cancelled. Big Finish. He played the Master. He played the Master in Big Finish productions. And when it came out that he agreed, they took his name off all of the audio dramas. It defies belief.
This is what the peace-loving, accepting left looks like.
Yeah,
you have to accept it our way, or you're gone. The thing is, I don't like J.K. Rowling's opinions on things, yeah?
No,
but she's a fucking loud them.
Yeah, I
don't...
What, another example, did you see the this week there was an interview with Leslie Headland, right? And it was I'm sorry, the woman that was interviewing her looked like a toad. I mean, she really, she looked like a young Umbridge, right? And
that's insulting. Sorry.
I know it is. It was meant to be. And Star Wars Theory, right? The guy that never swears at anybody. When the most angry I've ever seen him, he might swear slightly, but he's never screaming, right? Star Wars Theory, always polite, always respectful, right? Tells people not to go after. He says, if you disagree with them, you can tell them, but be respectful. Every fucking video that guy does, he says, be respectful, right? And he did a reaction video. She goes, I'm a nice person, and then proceeds to attack in the most vile manner possible. And he's just replying, being respectful. She attacks him for crying on at The Mandalorian season 2. She attacks him for being bald, even though the guy had an illness. I mean, this is Star Wars Theory. It's unbelievable, right? And then she turns around and she says she's a nice person. No, you're not. And it's unbelievable. And the interview is funny because they blatantly got made out that Leslie's in a home. She's not, right? They've got like a few Lego Star Wars models behind her and like little things like you know, all the little
She's in her
things.
fucking nephew's bedroom.
Yeah. I know, it's a blatantly set up. And I mean, she was talking bollocks. And like this journalist was blatantly given talking points because the first thing she said was like, you know, now because Disney cancelled Legends and there's all this hoo-ha about Ki-Adi-Mundi, what do you think? And I was like, oh.
Do you want to save this for the Acolyte? Because you watched the Acolyte and I spared my brain.
I actually didn't. I watched it in parts this episode because I couldn't bring myself to watch all the way through it. I really couldn't.
I'm really tempted to live stream me watching it, but cut it so you can't see it, but you can just see my reactions, and it's like at this time, guess which part I'm watching.
Oh, I can probably guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, we haven't even got past.
We haven't got past the first story.
Yeah.
Right, hang on, let's go. Let's right. So we got some news about Apple TV's Severance season 2, which I can't remember anything because it's just been so bloody long, and this is the thing that's getting on my wick with streaming services. When you had network television, there was always like a push to make sure everything was done on a certain time. If it was delayed, it would be 3, maybe 6 months, never more than that. But ever since it's gone to streaming, Stranger Things is a great example. Yeah, watched Stranger Things, really enjoyed it. Yeah, year later, can't bloody remember most of it. I just remember Kate Bush. I say Kate Hill. Then who the fuck is Kate Hill? I don't know. Kate Hill running up that bush.
I mean, this has been delayed because of on-set shenanigans, and the
on-set
writers and well, there's been some behind-the-scenes stuff problems with it, I believe.
Okay.
Then the writers' strike. So yeah, but you got me to watch Severance, and it was good.
That's the annoying thing. That's the annoying thing about it, because my brother watched it. He said, "Watch it. It's really good. It's done by Ben Stiller." His argument was Ben Stiller made it, and I was like, "All right, fair enough. I'll watch it." So, just the first things first. January 17th, 2025. So when I get my Apple TV subscription in December, I'm going to be keeping it until probably end of February at this rate, because I've got this to watch straight away after.
September.
Oh, September. Oh, okay. Maybe there'll be a break in between then. But yeah, I'll be watching that, and it's first things first is what are they actually doing? Why are they actually being severed? Yeah, from having their lives partitioned off in such a fashion. We need some answers. There were lots of things, lots of revelations, but no answers, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So you have to give me answer a good chunk of stuff that's going on here. So yeah, yeah, so this, it says that there may be fallout from them meddling with the Severance barrier, or the partition, as I like to call it. And there's a new character being played by Gwendoline Christie, which might be interesting. But at the moment, it's all one of those things. So it's
It was quirky, but it was interesting. And I mean, what's his face was in it? Who played the Emperor in Dune? Why can't I remember his name?
Christopher Walken.
Yeah, Christopher Walken was in it, who was good in this. I'm hoping he'll be in season 2. I've been watching The Outlaws. I'm on to like episode 4 of season 1 of The Outlaws, and Christopher Walken's in that, and he's fucking brilliant. It's got Stephen Merchant in it. Of all people, you've got Stephen Merchant and Christopher Walken in this comedy, and it's very British, with Christopher Walken as an American sort of.
Oh, I've seen a trailer of it. I haven't watched it. I have seen a trailer of it.
It feels. If I bothered to look, I think it's I'll probably find out it's made by the same people that made things like Teachers on Channel 4. You know, with Andrew Lincoln before Andrew Lincoln became famous, because it has that drama mixed with that kind of humor. And I think it is on Channel 4. It might be on the BBC. I don't know, but it feels a bit like that. But it's genuinely really good. And Stephen Merchant is quite good in it. I've enjoyed the episodes that I've watched of that so far. It's been good. So anyway,
okay, I'll have to look at that. I'll be honest with you. I was watching Life on Mars because I was ill. I wasn't in a coma, and I hadn't been sent back to 1973 either. But it was entertaining. So
I have to admit, I prefer his car in the 80s, but I like both series. But there was something about Ashes to Ashes, and his one-liners just got better and better by the time he got to Ashes and Ashes. They were fucking brilliant.
Oh, it was really good. Anyway, let's move on to our next story.
Hi, this is Nigel, and I'm talking in my lovely narrator's voice. Bask in its loveliness, but don't bask for too long. We need your help. Come to YouTube and watch our videos for the love of God. Well, send Keith round to your next barbecue and he'll eat all your food. Toasty! You have been warned.
So, latest casting from Amazon's upcoming Spider-Man Noir series. Irish actor Brendan Gleeson, Mad-Eye Moody, has been cast alongside Nicolas Cage and Lamorne Morrison. I have no idea if I said that right.
I knew and didn't know about this.
I heard something about it a while back, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm assuming it's an animated offshoot from Into the Spider-Verse.
I think it's live action.
How could it be fucking live action?
Well, you know, it's not unknown of them to spend huge amounts of money on the streaming service these days.
But it would make more sense
spend
just
money on a streaming service show and not.
I see. The thing is that Amazon do things in conjunction with Sony. Yeah. Sony, because Sony have been very sensible, and they've gone, you fuckers do the streaming stuff. We're going to stay out of it. We've got gaming. We can do gaming. So they've worked with lots of other companies to do TV shows and bits. So I'm hoping it needs to be from the Spider-Verse thing. I don't want it to be a what you call it. I want it to be like a more sophisticated kind of thing, because how the hell are you going to stylize it? Because Spider-Man Noir, and it's like there was a game, I can't remember, it was like Shattered Dimensions or something, where you got to play the Spider-Man Noir version of it, and it was in black and white, and he had like the craggy detective sounding bits and whatnot.
The gentleman on the right there recently started an Apple TV series that was a bit noir, a detective noir series set in Hollywood, and it turns out he's an alien. Yeah, that went off the rails.
Well done, Keith. I was going to watch that. I don't have to now, thanks.
No, you weren't. I didn't watch it.
Thought
I haven't
about
watched it. I know it because it was everywhere. I don't know what happens after that reveal because there's several episodes after that. But what I'm saying is you can do the noir live action. I just have to say when I knew there is something in the back of my head about it, but when I actually think, hang on, Nicolas Cage as the Spider-Man noir, that's genius casting. I think he's going to be really fucking good in that part.
So just going through some more of the notes here. Yeah, it's
Because I've got
in
some of the noir
conjunction
comics.
with Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who did Into the Spider-Verse, and it is a Sony property, and it's in conjunction with Amazon, just like I said. Apparently, the first show, Silk Spider Society, was announced in 2022 but faced delays. I have no idea what the fuck that is. Did you hear about the Silk one?
No.
Nor did I. Okay.
But
So a villain.
Go on.
So Brendan Gleeson, they reckon, is going to be a villain.
Oh well.
There's plenty of gangsters. Yeah.
He is a brilliant villain. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, he will always be Mad Eye Moody for me. Again, one of the things from the Potter movies is a lot of the roles. Peter Pettigrew didn't work for me, but that's that. I love Timothy Spall, but he never worked for me as Peter Pettigrew. But Donald Gleeson was Moody. Was
Brendan
Moody.
Gleeson. Donald,
Brendan
his
Gleeson,
son.
Sorry, yeah.
His son was in it too, and in
Yes,
Star Wars. The funny thing is, the two, big things in Florida theme park wise is Star Wars and Harry Potter. Yeah. Donald Gleeson is in the Rise of Resistance, and he's also on the Gringotts ride. So he's got both bits covered for himself. So he's like kind of, I've got both angles covered. I hope he's getting paid well for that, or paid well for that.
I've got to get over to Florida and do the Harry Potter stuff at some point. But I mean, it's going to change soon because obviously
they've got the Ministry of Magic coming.
The HBO series is on the horizon.
Yeah.
I know. But I hadn't. The more I think about it, the more I think that actually I'm secretly looking forward to this because Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir, that's genius. That's genuinely genius casting. I'm up for that. I am up for that. When's the second part of Into the Spider-Verse coming? Because that's meant to be soon. Because I really enjoyed the first part.
I'm annoyed. Again, this is another thing. You do it, and if you've not got it, I don't know. Next summer after.
It's meant to be this year. I think it should be
supposed to be this year.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was meant to be like within the year. But genuinely, I loved that one with the Spot, and the ending was a cliffhanger. It's a bit like the bloody Fast and the Furious. That was over nearly 2 years ago. That was a fucking cliffhanger, and that's going to be another year away.
Oh, I loved
them.
Jason Momoa as their version of the Joker. That's really what he was. With purple, slightly camp and whatnot, just to try and wind them up.
Genius.
Anyway, let's move on to the next one.
You're listening to the Monkey Nut Punch podcast.
Right. I'm going to say, and then I'm going to step back. I might even turn the camera off so I can shake my head violently. So, George R.R. Martin... House of the Dragon... Right, so... I'm going to put you on mute. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pop you on mute for a moment so I can read this uninterrupted, because he's going to go off on one any moment now, yeah? And it's like lighting the fuse on a powder keg, yeah? So it goes like this, yeah? Where was I? I've lost my notes. The renowned author recently expressed his dissatisfaction with a specific detail about the dragons that fans of the series might find intriguing. Let's explore what Martin has to say. Any significant complaint? Right. Here we go. Right, I'm gonna. Come on then.
No, right.
Come on, kids.
You know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say, right? Nine novels, 6 seasons of a TV show, right? In 30 have been released. In the entire time that he has still not written that fucking book. He is a con artist, and he's an arse, and he should not be allowed to. He shouldn't be online. He should be writing the fucking book that he promised everybody. The entire Harry Potter series was filmed, was written in the time that he has taken to write this goddamn book.
Yeah.
And now he's criticizing yet another TV show. When he's not criticizing TV shows, he's criticizing fans of Star Wars. Fuck off, George. Get back in that room and write that fucking book that you promised everybody, you lazy fuck. You're a con artist. You're a con man.
So that's right. So he believes that dragons should be like birds and flying dinosaurs and only have 2 legs and 2 wings. That's one of his criticisms, yeah. But they changed it so that the design of the dragons now has 4 legs. Like a horse, like a Pegasus sort of thing.
Instead of writing a book, he's bitching online again. This guy will use anything not to write this book. I like House of Dragon. I'm genuinely enjoying it. I mean, when you actually listen to Gary and Ryan Kinnell do their reaction afterwards, which is really good because, fuck me, does Ryan Kinnell just know everything about Game of Thrones, right? It's interesting listening to them because actually it's not R.R. Martin, it's the writers of the TV show that are fleshing out what was quite not that long a text in the book that he released after he should have released Winds of Winter. But anyway, it's not on R. Martin at this time, and I think that's why he's constantly been a little critical, because I don't think he was expecting the show to be as popular as it is, and it's genuinely very good. Last week's episode, holy shit. I mean, that was better than anything in Game of Thrones. Better than, I don't care, Battle of the Bastards, that was satisfying. Joffrey dying, satisfying, right? The Red Wedding, shocking, but damn right, all out cool. That was House of Dragon episode 4 of season 2. Holy shit! And I didn't see some of that coming, not in the way that it happened, and oh god, it was brutal and awesome. So, and I can't wait for tomorrow's episode because the fallout from this is going to be fucking probably even more phenomenal. But look, he personally, I think he has lost the right to criticize, complain about anything. He is a con artist. He promised these books, he made people buy this book, and it's taken him 13. He hasn't written the book. It doesn't take 13 years to write a novel. A good novelist can write 9 books, then go on and fucking showrun 6 seasons of really good TV in the entire goddamn time that he's taken to write this book. Expanse, by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Admittedly, there was 2 of them under one pen name.
Yes.
And they would alternately write each chapter. That's why when you read the book,
they
you go
were also
Miller Holden. And they did showrun. And yeah,
you're right. They wrote and the TV shows as well.
Whilst he was trying to write that second book, yeah. I will give you that. All right.
I mean, I don't care about the Game of Thrones novels anymore. I genuinely don't. But there are fans. He promised these fans. He told them what they would do. It's like J.K. Rowling writing years 1 to 6 of Harry Potter and then never releasing 7. It's that kind of thing. And I'm sorry, when you've invested time in these books with the promise that there were going to be 7 books and then it doesn't happen, That is unforgivable. And this guy going on and giving his opinions on everything, fuck off and go and write that book. When you've written that book, George, you can criticize your Star Wars fans and everything else. But until this time, shut the fuck up and piss off. Because you haven't earned that right. You're a con artist. Sorry. Really pisses me off, him. I
did warn you. I did.
Sorry. I did say it was going to be ranty.
I know it was going to be ranty. Okay. All right. Anyway,
I warned him. I said,
time for you to stop. Okay. I'm trying to figure a way of putting the brakes on this man. Yeah, it's difficult. If we were in the same room, I could just punch him in the arm like I used to when we podcasted together in the same room. But because he's halfway around the planet, I can't punch him in the arm, so I've got an air horn.
brilliant. Brilliant.
It's very crass. Anyway, I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to look in the comments. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to say hello to everyone in the comments because my wife is talking about going to Iceland, and we're not talking about the shop on the high street. I had to do that. I'm sorry.
That's Iceland in Staines.
Really? Oh wow! I never thought you'd noticed. Do you know what? The one in Addlestone has been replaced with a gym. I approve.
Brilliant.
I don't like frozen food. I prefer gyms to frozen food, which is really odd. Anyway, so the missus, she says hello. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I forgot. There we go. The missus says hello. And joke about Jenna Louise Coleman. Didn't quite go there. Now, hello, Laurie. Biffa, man, you're slacking this week. You slacking this week. You sent me that thing on Tubi. I haven't got around to actually using Tubi before I could make any comments on it. I think it was supposed to be in last week's show notes, but I fell ill just before the podcast, because they've got Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey on there, which is a crap movie which I desperately want to watch. And I didn't want to pay for, so Tubi was the perfect answer to that. So I've downloaded it on my phone. There isn't an Xbox app. There isn't a Samsung TV app yet. But when it is, I will do it. Thank you very much for the article. Do appreciate it. I was supposed to email you back, but I'm busy during the week. Anyway. Oh, sorry, that was me. And there's Biffa. That was me saying hello to Biffa. Sorry. Where's his Chuck? Sounds like, reminds me of Holly from Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
You know, we just like turn up. What's up,
No,
dude?
that was what he did, though. That was when he come back after, like, 3 seasons of being lost, and he rolls back in. What's up, dudes? I love that. Isn't that the bit when they discover Red Dwarf again? And,
Yes.
And it's too big. So they're flying down like a pipe, and they end up with Starbuck up a rat's ass.
Yes, and he turns around and says, I really hate it when you're rat-assed. Steve, I don't know if you're going to be watching the football later, but somehow England made it to a final.
Yeah. Don't watch it.
Right.
Because
Do
I
you know what
haven't
the funny
been
thing
watching
is?
it. And I don't
Nor have I. I can be honest with you. Right, when it came to the football, I made a joke to my Dutch colleagues on our group chat on WhatsApp, and I turned around and said, I look forward to losing to you on penalties. And we won. To which I sent them the video of when they did Top Gear in the Arctic, and Hammond doesn't get to the North Pole in time, and Hammond, May, bad luck, mate. And then they laugh. I sent that video to them with, I didn't see that one coming, because I didn't. If we win it, the world's about to end. It's the sign of the apocalypse.
Bank holiday. Free holiday. That's how you.
You don't get bank holiday. You don't live in England.
But I work in England, technically.
If we do, we have to have it so it's only an English bank holiday. No Welsh, no Scottish, no Northern. Actually, Northern Ireland would cause an issue of some sort. Just England on their own. Make the Scottish work twice as hard. Yeah. So, can you please react? Oh, I will bring that
He
up.
already has.
I will bring up. No, we'll bring the clip. I'll see if I can find the clip on YouTube. Yeah, and we can. Yeah, we'll react to that.
Oh,
So
it's even better.
there's my.
They actually put a pop song at the end of this week's episode.
Did they?
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
God. So and now we've got. I've just a ton of my wife and Chuck and Laurie talking about it. Wow. I guess that's going to be tight. And oh yeah. No. I don't have problems in that department. Never had problems in that department. Yeah, so we've turned into a travel show. All right, so if you want travel videos, go and watch Chuck and Laurie on Covaction. It was Covaction Geography. It's just Covaction now. Go there and watch their trips to Iceland. Yeah. Does Iceland have the penis museum? Skip that one. Skip the penis museum one. All right, and skip the sex museum in New York too. Because Chuck just turns into a teenager.
You would
And
as
I
well.
would be embarrassed to be.
Every single one of us would. We're men. We're all gonna turn into freaking teenagers laughing at Willies on the fucking wall.
But I still like the Corvette one that you did. That was great. I showed that last time. So yeah. All right. So let's let's just move volume down here. So. What do we talk about? I've got... What did I put down? I put Two Towers, The Boys, and House of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of talked about House of the Dragon. So do you want to talk about House of the Dragon while I pull up the Power of One, the Power of Many, so we can spectacularly cringe at Acolyte. So talk about House of the Dragon.
This week's episode was just phenomenal. It starts off... Some people are complaining it starts off slow, but it doesn't. I mean... You know, Rhaenyra comes back and she's on a war footing and she knows it. Kristen is, you know, this guy. Why they can't see that he's just, he loved Rhaenyra, and calling her the whore queen, and all these things is just reacting to the fact that she turned him down, right? And he can't cope with the fact that she turned him down. And his character is the most annoying character, and I want him to be burnt alive, and somehow he. Spoiler, managed to escape getting burnt alive, but it's the last 20 minutes of the episode, all hell breaks loose. That Kurtzman and is, been sort of sieging all the castles and lords and getting them to agree to renounce that Rhaenyra is the queen, and they do this by basically chopping their heads off, old school, until Rhaenyra's like, that's enough, right? We're sending out the Dragon Force. Meanwhile, Daemon is in this castle, slowly going fucking insane. Which again, Matt Smith's acting is fantastic. But it's the fucking dragon on dragon, and then
hang on, no, hang on a second. Just the way you described it, yeah. Dragon on dragon action this week.
It was dragon on dragon action, but not in that way, you dirty bastard. So the king, Aegon the second, comes in on his tiny little dragon, and this is the one thing I felt, because before Aegon gets on the dragon sort of, they touch heads, and the affection between him and the dragon is brilliantly done. And even though you don't like Aegon, the dragon's innocent, and the affection between the two of them. It's real in terms of the way it's displayed. So then that dragon is literally sliced, its belly, and all this sort of tar falls out and burns all the soldiers underneath. And you've got the princess who would have been queen but isn't, on her great big dragon, and you think, oh, they're all fucked now, they're all dead. But hiding in the woods is an even bigger dragon with the brother with the eye patch, and King Aegon turning up has ruined that plan. But then the brother was like, fuck it, I don't like Aegon anyway, and then he takes off, basically goes in for the kill, knocks the king off his dragon, and dispatches that poor little dragon, and then kills one of the major characters. But it's this dragon battle, and then all the ground force is completely fucking wiped out by the blood, because this blood is like acid that just burns through all the, and you know, when they're fighting, it just this massive dragon battle, and it was shocking because I didn't actually think we were going to lose her at this point in time, and we do. We don't know if Aegon is dead. We don't know he's dead. I don't think he's dead, but I think he's pretty fucked up. And yeah, Kurtzman is kind of like his entire army's burnt, including the brother. I think the brother of the queen mother, the king's mother. They're just all. So Hightower, who was fired a couple of weeks ago, is going to be really pissed off because his son's dead. It's just gone all fucking madness, and the way they did it, the way they filmed it, the way it looked amazing, right? It looked incredible, and it was just balls to the wall action, but I found it difficult watching Aegon's dragon get killed because of that affection scene, and that always bothers me when animals get hurt. But it was. I mean, the importance of these characters, you've got the king, and you've got you've got the princess who should have been queen, so Rhaenyra's auntie. Well, we don't know about Aegon, but we know that Rhaenyra's auntie gets killed. So you know her husband, who is is basically in charge of the whole navy. Well, he's going to be pissed. The daughters. And what's happened to Daemon? At the moment, Daemon's sitting in a castle, slowly going mad, regretting the death of the child in the episode 1 of season 2, and it's driving him mad. Which is why I said to you, yeah, the child death was pretty brutal, but it's going to have an effect, and it is.
I've got a thing against that. I really have. I don't know what it is. Something really down in me. It's just like I really struggle in doing that. It's what was the?
I have it with.
You have it with animals. I have it with children. It's like what was it? Sweet Tooth on Netflix. I think they started doing experiments on children. I had to turn it off because it was weird to think that. I don't know why, but that's my one thing that I really don't like.
I'm not comfortable with it, but I knew it was going to happen. And I also knew that it was going to have an effect. And although Daemon didn't do it, he was responsible for it, and it's sending him mad. And again, this is why Matt Smith should be in absolutely fucking everything, because his acting is brilliant. And watching him sort of go around this broken down castle, and they brought back the actress that played young Rhaenyra, who's going to be Supergirl. Hot. So we're getting her turning up in these weird scenes. And it's I can't no
comment on the podcast.
Yeah. But because of that, if it had been like Daenerys' dragons in Game of Thrones, where you don't really see that affection much, but they deliberately had this scene, and I mean my dog who passed away used to do the same thing. He would put his head here, and it was an affectionate thing. And that's what I think sort of was in me. So when that happens, and it was such a small dragon compared to these other two bear moth dragons. I mean, you got Vega, who's this. I mean, he's a flying freaking battleship. So God knows what's going to happen tomorrow. But again, I'm loving it because it's competently written. You feel things about the characters. You have emotions about the characters. You don't have apathy. You either have hate, irritation, or and it's night and day difference to like Rings of Power. I understand why this was so much more popular when that, and I know why Rings of Power is not on at the moment, because this is. And then you can watch something like Acolyte, and you're just like night and day difference.
Talking of Acolyte, I blame Biffa for this one. Hang on, have I got it set to? Oh, that's not good. There we go. So, I've got a thing against people who have their septums pierced. Would you like to hear the story why I've got a thing against people who have their septums pierced?
Yes, Gareth.
Okay. So every so often I have to travel into the city, and I have to take a train going into London. It's fun going into London. And sometimes you sit on a train during the winter and people have colds. Now, imagine sitting next to someone who's got a septum piercing, who has a stinking cold, and then clearing their nose and then having fucking bogies dripping off of it.
Lovely.
Now, I'll accept a few bits, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's why I don't like septum piercings. Next.
The power of
You know, when you were at college, and we're not talking college as in university college, we're talking about kind of the step towards university, yeah? And you had those friends, and they were girls, and they thought they were witches.
Yeah.
And you always wondered what would happen if they never grew up.
the power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
That's what that looks like. Just saying. This is crap.
It's so good. Look,
John, right? The perspective, yeah? John Williams, one of the best composers of a generation when it comes to film and just music in general, yeah? Harry Potter theme, Star Wars theme, I can't remember, other themes, yeah? Star Wars.
Jurassic Park, E.T., Superman. Leslie Henland, Harvey Weinstein's former assistant, says this is the greatest art she's ever produced.
She doesn't know what fucking art is. This is what happens
4-year-old child
when you...
finger painting's better art than this, but there we go.
This is what happens when you do not hire people on merit.
Yes.
This is...
And this is one of the least dumb things in this. So, I mean, this week's episode was right. So, eight episodes, half an hour long, $180 million, right? That's 1.5 Godzilla minus X's per episode. Right? So 3 was called the dumbest episode in the Acolyte, and arguably it is the dumbest episode. But we had to have episode 3 all over again from a different perspective, right? So now you see May starting the fire. That was in episode 3, but it's also in episode 7 from a different angle. Because now in episode 7 you get the Jedi perspective. And what did we think? Well, I was right and I was wrong, because I said that the person under the mask was going to be the Dathomiri cow, right? It's not. But the guy behind the mask was, you know, what they're calling him, Asian Ezra Miller. I actually think that's a bit of a diss, because he's quite a good actor.
It's not as annoying as Ezra Miller.
He's way better than... but when I was watching him and listening to him, I was like, hang on, he's the apprentice, right? And then it was like, oh, okay, right. So, you know, Dathomiri bitch is the fucking Sith, the real Sith, right?
Yeah.
And in episode 7, she kind of turns into black smoke monster and disappears, right? But, you know, you get the perspective. Soul kills the fucking yes, bitch, because she turns into like this black fucking mist, and then starts fucking May starts sort of going into like black mist. So Soul just stabs her. So you know, Master Squid Games just stabs her. But again, like when May starts setting off the fire, she chucks this open, because Star Wars. Apparently, we're back in medieval times, so we've got like a you know, a lantern. She throws it on the ground, and it's like the entire rock is oozed in fucking diesel or something, because it just catches and starts burning. Solid rock, Gareth. Solid fucking rock. Right? Starts burning, and then somehow the entire bloody industrial base is destroyed in the heart of a fucking mountain.
Star Wars died a long time ago for me. Okay.
I am only
I
watching this 'cause
admittedly,
it's
I
funny.
was harsher on the prequels, with the exception of Attack of the Clones, because that was shit. Yeah, harsher on the sequels, prequels than I should have been. But this is garbage tier. This I don't tell me why this costs as much as it does. Yeah,
This is the thing. I'm trying to work this out because, so far as I can see, they've only been to 2 locations, right? Possibly 3 locations, right? All of the rest is sets, and they're shit sets, right? There's a scene in the Jedi tunnel, in the Jedi temple, right? And I think they're using the volume, but you can see it's a projected image. When it focuses on the outside and there's like this coming in little shuttle, it's so bad, Gareth. You can tell it's a projected image. I've seen 1970s video wall thing that looks more convincing than that. It's unbelievably bad. And you're looking at the show going, the costumes look cheap and shit. There's no real big name actors in this other than Carrie-Anne Moss. Right, what did they do? Pay $100 million to be in this? Where has the $180 million gone? You look at House of Dragon, right? That cost $200 million, although I believe the budget this season was slightly lower. You know where the money's gone because they built these huge fucking sets, right? They've got this volume, and then they do a dragon battle that looks real, right? You know where the money's going. You can say what you like about Discovery and all the Star Trek shows, and I can say a lot, but you know where the money's going.
Discovery.
Where has this money gone?
Yeah, I have no fucking idea. Do you know what it's? I've got. It feels like a psyop. It really does feel like a psyop of some sort. Somewhere. Have you heard about the dead internet theory? The internet is actually dead. It's just powered by bots at the moment, and then it's now moving into AI bots. Yeah. I think it's spread because for some reason, if you had to think of power analytics.
Yeah.
So power analytics, Disney for some reason do not make their judgment calls through how much revenue they're getting or how much their customers are satisfied when it comes to these TV shows. They use a thing called power analytics, yeah? And as long as people are talking about their stuff, they're fine. This feels like someone's fucking with me. I'm worried that I may have died and gone to hell.
But most people are not watching this show. They're just watching the reaction videos. Like, I didn't watch this until, I think, yesterday, maybe. And I have been watching every episode on release, and then I thought, I've seen the reaction video. I was away at the time, so I saw the reaction video. I know what I'm about to watch, and it was everything they said, right? And the hiding behind woke thing. No one's having to go at the wokeness anymore about it. I mean, other than saying lesbian space witches, there's no real talk. Which they are. There is no talk about its wokeness or its gayness because it's really dumb. I mean, you had that really gay guy in the episode 6, the English guy, and he's really, I mean, he's camp. He has his own camp YouTube. I mean, so camp. It's like, and it's not because it is because he's camp, but it's also the way he is. How is that a Jedi? And you're like, you watch this show and you're just thinking, this is dumb. I mean, it's dumb. And I don't understand how this could be released and where the fuck is, and I'm being deadly serious, where has $180 million gone? Because it isn't on this show. It looks cheap. I mean, seriously, Picard season 4 did a lot more with a lot less budget, right? And Picard season 4 looks like a more expensive show than this. The effects are crap. The backdrops are crap. When they're on Coruscant, you see the back. It's really, really bad. All the time. I mean, this entire episode was on studio sets, right? Episode 6, with the exception of where they land, and the bit on the beach at the beginning, and penis, Jedi, naked Jedi, or naked Sith, I should say, which was off the coast somewhere. That was like, and oh my god, that episode, right? I want to do a meme about it, and I've been tempted to make one this week because, like, Osha wakes up on this thing that looks suspiciously like where Luke Skywalker was in The Last of the Jedi, right? So it looks like it's been filmed in Ireland, right? And they're on this island, and he says to her, right? And she's looking, and you see the ship, and it's like parked on like a neighboring island, right? And he says, "Well, if you start swimming now, you should get there by sunlight." Then the camera zooms out. Gareth, the beach wraps around like that, and there's like a 10-meter gap between like a channel of about 10 to 15 meters between the beach and the next island where the ship's parked. And it's like that blonde joke, two blondes and a brunette stuck on an island, a desert island. And, the first blonde swims and dies. The second one gets eaten by a shark. The brunette walks across the bridge. It's that. It's it's that. But the camera zooms out and shows it. You're like, really?
Anyway, should we talk about the boys and then talk about the Two Towers after? Because I don't.
Yeah, I've got no apathy for it. I mean, as I said, I'm playing Fallen Order at the moment, and that at least is Star Wars. Survivor, and it actually makes Survivor look so much worse. And I bet Sweet Baby Ink got involved in it.
They did. It is.
Yeah.
Look at Sweet Baby Ink detected.
Because in this, Sia is a great character, right? But there was no way in hell she was ever going to beat Vader, right? Let alone nearly beat. And that just makes Survivor so much worse. But in this, it's really good. The relationship between him and BD1, the relationship between him and Sia, and it's a buddy. It's Star Wars. It is Star. This is what Disney should have done. Taken the Fallen Order story and put it on film. The actor playing the Jedi is great. He's ginger, Nige. Up to the ginger power. He's a ginger, but he's brilliant. And his relationship with BD1 and all the cutscenes. It's the first game I've played where I'm not bored with the cutscenes. I love the cutscenes because it's Star Wars, and it fucking feels like Star Wars. Fallen Order.
Yeah.
PS5 graphics is sweet.
Okay, let's talk about the boys, because the boys is the boys has got, how can I put it? It's definitely showing its politics on its sleeve now. And given the fact that someone actually tried to assassinate Trump yesterday, did you hear about that?
Oh yes.
I watched it before we came up. I didn't know. My brother sent it to me. I thought, it's bollocks. And then I looked at it and went, oh no, it's not. Someone actually took a pot shot at him, which is great.
It was either you I said this to, or my dad. I said somebody's gonna try and have a go at him, and they have. But seriously, they got within 130 meters. Questions need to be asked there, because when you look at it and you go, "What the fuck?" Anyway, but. So I loved the episode with the flying sheep. I thought the episode with the flying sheep, I have to admit, I really thought I fucking loved that episode. I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, and then we had the reveal that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was an hallucination, which we knew all along. But they come out with a virus which could kill Homelander, which, I'll be honest with you, is the last part of the story for the boys comic, where he kills. Spoiler warning, Billy Butcher is the bad guy. So's Homelander. So is Noir, but they've ruined the Noir character, because the Noir character was supposed to be a clone of Homelander, who then kills Homelander, because that was his job, yeah? So you've got that there. The shapeshifter was quite good. We had the shapeshifter that was copying people, but they had to rip their flesh off in order for them to grow a new disguise. That was quite interesting. The actress who plays Starlight, her and Huey have no chemistry.
No.
They're supposed to be in love, yeah, They have no chemistry whatsoever. He's got more chemistry with his actual fucking girlfriend, who's the one who plays Vic the Veep. Yeah, who in the comic book was a moronic politician, modelled after George W. Bush, but worse because he actually let the people do it. So I
mean, it's gone stupidly woke, right? And it is blatantly having a go at people, and I don't, and again, the people that are writing it are stupid, right? Because the people they're having a go at, they don't understand who they're having a go at. It's almost like they've been told that these people were bad. You know, they've indirectly referenced Gary, and Gary is friends with the creator. Gary is in the fucking comic.
Yeah, he's the warehouse worker where they're keeping all the flamethrowers.
So they're having a go at him, and he's in the original comic, right? And it's like every time they do this real life politics thing, it takes me out of the show. But I think you and I were having a conversation that when you know, the thing about, well, you know, if you don't like it, don't watch. The thing is, we care about these characters because what they did in season 1 especially is set up these characters, and they did that well. So we care about these characters. We care about Frenchie. We care about these characters. And it's like, why did they suddenly make Frenchie gay? And things like that bothered me. The first few episodes of this season, I very nearly switched off. But I have to admit that the Flying Sheep episode, I fucking loved that episode. I was laughing my fucking tits off. And, you know, we had some good reveals there. But again, in this episode, it bothers me that they are having to go at actually people that are not that bad. And it's not just like Trump supporters that they're having to go at. They're attacking people on the internet like you and I, who, because this is what they do now. Because instead of writing decent material, they're just going to attack. This is what the Acolyte's done. Saki J is a YouTuber, young. She's hot, helps. But she is a Hispanic female, right? This is what Star Wars is meant to be fucking targeting, right? You should see what she says about this show, about Star Wars and stuff. And it's people like, it's this defense that's it's falling down. It's eroding, and you know, the trouble is with the boys. I love it, but I keep getting taken out of it with this stupid politics stuff. That's
just a quick one.
You know, I know. She's ruined her face. Yeah,
she has ruined her face. She's got that fucking Californian facelift look that they all have.
Yes.
She's got that standard thing that we all watch. I think there's a TV series called The Traitors that I watch every so often. There's a US version of it, and there were 3 women in the first season who had that same face, and I think there were another 3 actually because they introduced one of the women who had the same face. They all have that same face. I have no idea why they think that's attractive, and I can understand if you need to make
because they live in a bubble in California where everybody tells them that they look amazing, so they believe it. This is the bubble of California. And what about the other guy? But that's because he's lost loads of weight.
Oh yeah, the guy who plays Mother's. I don't get why they put him in charge, and they didn't. Right, so the story of the boys is quite a real simple one, yeah? You've got Homeland, you've got the boys who is like the CIA's answer to keeping the soups under control, yeah? The soups, yeah, are doing really fucking horrible things, yeah? So that they have the boys who are equally allowed to do horrible fucking things. So one of the characters they kill is a guy called Lamplighter, yeah? So they kill Lamplighter, and they do it horribly, yeah? And then the comic is literally them going through all the other soups, and they go through a team that's like the Avengers called Payback. They go through a team that's like the X-Men called the G-Men, and then they finish off with the Justice League, which is the 7, yeah? And they kill them all off one by one. But while this is happening, yeah, you've got Homelander who thinks he's going fucking nuts because there are videos of him like eating babies and doing horrific things, yeah? But the twist is, it's not Homelander doing these things. So Butcher thought that Homelander had raped his girlfriend Becky. It wasn't him. It was Black Noir, because he was a clone of Homelander, where they had perfected it and got it done properly. And his job was, if Homelander went out of control, he was going to kill him. The problem is, he hadn't done anything to warrant him offing him. And because he wasn't going to off him, he went, fuck it, I'll set him up so I have an excuse to off him so I can feel my purpose. And then when you get to the end, you find out he's a clone. Homelander again gets killed by Noir, and then Noir gets finished off by Butcher. Now the boys in it, they have like a version of Compound V in their body which allows them not to get the shit kicked out of them. Yeah? So they can go toe to toe with them if they want. But they were killing off the things. So it's like Stormfront, yeah? They got the guy called Love Sausage helps them and drags Stormfront out into the woods, and they beat him to death. Yeah? All of them together. And Frenchie's the one who always figures it out, yeah? And he always has his goggles, and he pulls his goggles down when he's working, and he puts them back up when he's got an idea, and it's none of that. And it's getting more and more disappointing. It really is, and it's just, I'm going to watch to the end of the season, and I'm going to do it.
I understand why you're still watching, but
nothing on TV at the moment.
They've got to the amount of politics. There's only the reason that we're still watching is because we like the characters, not necessarily the show itself. We like the characters that they created in season 1, and that's why I think a lot of people are still watching. But this politics, they are having a go at half their fucking audience, and they clearly hate half of their audience. And there are people sort of agreeing with Homelander, and I swear to God, some of them are doing it just to wind them up, because I think it will wind them up, because they're turning Homelander into Trump, and it doesn't work. And actually, some of the stuff they're doing, it's just it's vile and it's evil. These people claim to be nice, they're not. They're horrible human beings. That journalist, as I mentioned at the beginning, the way she attacked Theory, the language she was using, and the viciousness of it, that's not the act of a nice person. That's the act of a cow, right? And yeah, a few people probably did attack you, but what the fuck do you expect when you put an interview out like that, when you diss people for caring about canon, right? Especially Star Wars. Fuck sake, know your goddamn material, right? Because the one fucking thing that proper Star Wars fans care about is fucking canon, right? And you call yourself a journalist, fuck off with you, you insignificant little fly. But it's these people, and you wonder why the far right is becoming more popular. Because you're bagging everybody in and attacking them all the time.
I'm going to be honest with you. Common sense is now far right. So I'm fucking far right now because I'm a big proponent of common sense. Oh no! And it's when it's do you know what the really really annoying thing is? And I hope you don't come across this, because you'll watch it and it'll wind you the fuck up. Is when you watch an interview with someone where they turn around and say maths is racist because 2 and 2 can equal 5. They do not understand the significance from 1984 with the lights. Yeah, it's the most. It's like kind of, oh no, from a certain perspective, no. There's objective reality. We have to agree on objective reality. If you can't, then I can't have you in society. Can we talk about 2000 now? Because I'm going to get pissed off.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So one. Fuck me, this was long. I had to have 2 breaks. I had to have a break to make some lunch. It was so long. I had to go to the gym first thing this morning so I could watch this in time to see the podcast, but I had a break to make lunch because it was that long. I was thinking, I almost watched all 3 of these movies in the theatre back to back last Christmas. I'm glad I didn't, because I would have been like, dude, I need to go for a cigarette or a break, or just still good, Don't.
Awesome.
What do you call it? Don't. This, that, and the other. It's my favourite out of all of them. Yeah, there were some great bits in there. There's some bits that I didn't notice the first couple of times I've watched it. One is when Gandalf turns up to Rohan to see the king, and he's forgotten his staff. And the reason the reason he has got his staff is not because they forgot to disarm him, because the guy actually fucking let him have the staff because he knew what he was going to do. And I couldn't remember, because you watch him and he's got this. The guy who's let him in and let him keep his staff has the smuggest look on his face as he's going towards Wortmore, and it's like, how did I not notice that the first time round? Is that I don't know if that's an extra bit, but it's just like you watch him and it's like, oh, thank fuck, he sorted it all out.
There's a lot
little
of
things like that. Yeah,
a lot of little details added in this. I mean, it's actually 44 minutes longer than the original film, but that's because there's lots of bits. Like we were talking just before we came on there, and you made the comment about the orcs talk a lot more. That's because the orcs did. The orcs were very talkative, right? And you get it a lot in this, and I like that. I like the orcs talk a lot. There's a lot of extra scenes. There's a lot more with the trees. There's more with Treebeard. There's the bit where Pippin gets swallowed by the tree. That was because Tom original book, Tom Bombadil saves them.
Right. So the thing we get, because that's a setup for at the end, after the battle. That's because you have to set that up. So when you get to that bit, because it's and then cut out another bit too. So at the end, when they have to finish the Battle of Helm's Deep, the orcs all fuck off into the forest in Fangorn. Yeah, forest is fucked off at them, because when Merry and Pippin take who's the Ent? Treebeard.
Treebeard.
Treebeard's the Ent. Yeah, take the Ent past what do you call it? Oh, Isengard.
Yes.
Isengard. Take it past Isengard. He sees that, yeah, and he screams out, and you see the Ents come out one side, and then you see the trees fuck off in the other direction. It goes, the trees have got their thing they're going to do. They're going to take care of the orcs. We're going to take care of Saruman. And it was just like, oh, dude. It was like, and then they fuck off after the escape, and they run into the forest, and you just hear them scream as they're all getting killed by the trees. And it's just like, oh, that was great setup and payoff. It also has the bit that Aragorn's 87 years old.
Yes,
because which was never in the original.
Because he has the blood of Numenor, the Numenorians, which is why in Rings of Power, I was excited to see Numenor, and that's about it. Because of Aragorn is the last of the Numenorians, and blessed with long. Well, he's blessed. Their blood is blessed with the light of Endor. Eldor.
Endor?
Not Endor. Sorry,
Ewoks come from.
I like a lot about this film. I like all three films. To pick one is difficult because I see it as one story. But there are moments in this. There's a lot more little moments to book readers in this, like Pippin getting swallowed by the tree. I mean, in this, Treebeard saves him, but it's Tom Bombadil and the Fellowship of the Ring, and that's where you first learn that trees are really alive. The Battle of Helm's Deep in this, there's more. There's a few more sort of scenes with Gimli and Legolas's sort of competition between them as they're bashing the shit out of orcs.
Oh, because I've got the bit at the end where he turns around and goes, "I've got 42," like that. He goes, "I got 41," and then it's like kind of he twitches. He goes 42, and then it's like the reason he's twitching is because he's got my axe in his skull. He's just lifting it up like a puppet.
But you see, that is where the friendship between Legolas and Gimli really evolves. And it's a lifelong friendship, which you find out in the appendices, because those two characters really start off at each other's throats. And Gimli begins to mellow when he meets Galadriel, and you see again, that wasn't in the cinematic release, but you see that in the in the extended edition, and that's a really important scene because Gimli starts to mellow, and then this friendship that he has with Legolas, it is a respect, and it's done brilliantly in this. The way they show it, the competition between them is actually camaraderie, because when that happens, they both laugh, and by the end of it, they are brothers, and I love that. I love this film.
It is. There's like little touches in this. So when they first come across the riders who have been expelled from Rohan, and he insults Gimli and he says, "I'd cut your head off for thingy." And without thinking, Legolas is like turn around, goes, "I would, shoot you before you'd even swung your axe if you thought that." And it's Gimli's. It's not him. It's Gimli's reaction was like kind of, "Dude, you got my back."
But he was also a bit.
It's like, "Dude, you've got my back." Wow, I'm like really impressed. I like that was. There were little touches in this, which I can't remember from
because
the
they're not
thing.
there. So the bit where Theoden's son gets really mashed up, that's not in the cinematic release.
Yeah, and because they find him out in the forest with the others.
Yeah, the burial is extended. The flowers, the significance of the flowers is explained. There's moments with Wormtail that, Wormtail sort of going for his niece, and making it really uncomfortable. That's there. And then the niece falling for Aragorn, whilst you get a sense of it in the sort of theatric release, the extended edition plays to it much more, because again, in Return of the King, which we'll come back to, her eventual relationship with Faramir is makes more sense, and it's much more satisfying. There's so many things in this that are important and set up the next film. You get Boromir and Faramir, which is and you get the scene of the father. Why the father has that.
They cut Sean Bean completely from the original version.
Yes,
because I watched that and it's like you got a sense that he was the favourite brother, but he was like, but hang on a second, he was his favourite brother, but he was like to his younger brother, he's like, Dad is an arsehole. Dad is a fucking arsehole, and it's like, I want you to do this, and then, Dad, I don't want to do this, Dad. Why don't you send Faramir to go and do it? He would serve his thing better. And I liked him I like that kind of, he had his brother's back. I like those things where you've got people sticking up for people or supporting people, sort of thing. It always makes it kind of feel a bit more real.
The only criticism I have of this, and I understand because he explains why he did it, and my mum had a problem with this, and I still do have a problem with this as a book reader, is Faramir passes the test, but he doesn't bring Frodo back. He lets him go at the cave. And in this, he brings him back. He brings him back, and that slightly tarnishes Faramir, because Faramir resists straight away.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because he turns around and he says, "Actually, now think about it. I'm going to let you go." Yeah. And then they turn around and say, "If you let him," and then he turns around and goes, "If your life is forfeit if you let him go." And he turns around and goes, "Yeah." And then Frodo's like, kind of, "You're really cool. I like you."
Narratively in the film it kind of works, but it bothers me because in the book he resists the temptation straight away, and he doesn't in this. He sees it. It's not that he does it for selfish reasons, and in the book he is selfless, and in this he is slightly selfish. Yes, he realizes, and in the film, if you're watching it purely as a film, it kind of does make sense. And when you have that scene about the father, if you're watching it purely as a film and never read the books, it makes sense. But Faramir was selfless. And that bugs me slightly. Bugged my mum more than it bugged me, because Shelob is meant to be at the end of Two Towers, whereas she is towards the middle of Return of the King in the film. But again, I know why he did Shelob the way he did, because you needed the climb up to her, right? Which again is all in the Two Towers, in book wise, and it's all in the Return of the King. But you couldn't have put that on film. In the Return of the King, Two Towers would have been 7 hours long.
Well,
and a lot of what happens in that climb in Return of the King is really, really important.
Well,
because
Faramir knows that there's a problem because he fucking attacks Gollum. Turns around and goes, "You're leading them there." Goes, "It's dangerous there," and it's like kind of, "Oh no, don't trust me. Gollum's fine." It's like kind of, you need to watch yourself. And it's like, well, they, and it's weird because now it puts in context that they know that there's a problem with him. So when they come to deal with that, they weren't completely blindsided by the whole thing. I love the Battle of Helm's Deep. I'm still just watching that, and it's when you see Peter Jackson throw the spear.
Yeah,
He's
I love
in
how
the
he
first one
cameos
eating
in
a
all of the
carrot.
films. He
I can't
cameos
remember.
in all of the films.
I can't remember where he is in Return of the King.
He's
wait, no, don't spoil it for me. That's for me to find out later when I watch it. But yeah, I love that, and it's the bit where they're fighting and they're doing the counting, and then he takes the dynamite and blows up the what do you call it, the wall, and then what's his name? I'm saying Bernard Kreslaw, or his name is the actor. Oh, the King of Rohan. I can't remember the actor. The King of Rohan's like in the and he's in the what do you call it, the antechamber just before the caves, and it's like kind of, we're fucked, and the thing is like kind of, you're horse riders, let's go out like, but let's fucking go out in a blaze of glory. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Get on your horse and we'll go out in a blaze of glory. Because being on a horse medieval times gives you a massive advantage. Yeah, and it's like, all right, and then he goes like for something for ruin, blah blah blah, and then they head out. And then they head out, and then what's his remembers Gandalf said, "Look to the east on the fifth day," and it's like kind of looks to the east, and there they are. And then he does the classic military maneuver of having the sun behind you when attacking, which I love because it was great. Because he comes down the thingy, and they come down like a fucking waterfall. Yeah, visually, I don't know if it's the same as it's written the same in the book, but it comes down like a waterfall and then pours into the orcs and stuff. And it's great.
You see. The reason I love Helm's Deep, and it's perfect, because, there's a story to this. So, my mother's sister moved to New Zealand just before I was born, and my grandparents would go there every 2 years to visit them, and they would do these 4 or 5 day hikes into New Zealand. They would go on these hikes, and and they would always take pictures, and on their wall they have a picture from the exact same hill where Aragorn arrives on the horse, when he's injured and he looks down on Helm's Deep, right? They've got a picture from that exact same vantage point. And I think it was one Christmas I was there with my mum, and we were at the time reading Return of the King, and we both looked at that picture and went, that valley kind of looks a bit like what I visualize when I'm reading about fucking Helm's Deep, right? And I'll never forget the reaction that my mother and I had when because we went to see these films together, because her bedtime stories were Lord of the Bloody Rings. And when we saw Helm's Deep for the first time, we just looked at each other and remembered that, went, oh my God. And we knew it. We knew exactly where that was, because my grandparents had walked there. And again, Aragorn then appearing over and looking down the view, it's like, fuck. We showed it to my grandmother, and she said, oh yeah, I stood there and I took the picture of your grandfather. And it was just like, but that's how I visualized Helm's Deep. Because of that goddamn picture. And I always remember looking at all these pictures of New Zealand and going, yeah, that's Middle Earth. So when they filmed it there, it made perfect sense. So there is a personal attachment to this film, but I love it.
See,
It's still-
I think the reason I like this film is really simple. Yeah, there's all the setups and payoffs. Yeah, Fellowship, yeah, has a lot of setups but not many payoffs. Yeah, this is equal on its setups and payoffs, if that makes any sense. For everything it sets up, it pays off. It's funny because in Fellowship, yeah, the payoffs all happen in Return of the King. Yeah, so the sword being broken and then being able to summon the ghost army with the sword. Yeah, that pays off in Return of the King, but it's set up in the
I
Fellowship.
have to
Yeah,
say that is probably one of my favourite scenes in the entire. The bit where they arrive on the ships. We'll talk about it next week. But that bit where the three of them jump off the ships and like the orc's like whatever, and then this fucking ghost army comes in. Like, but no, we'll talk about that next week. But there's so many things that you picked up on, and this is why I told you to watch the extended edition, because it's got lots of little bits like that. And I knew you would notice some of them.
So the other one too is like kind of like, well, I don't know if I mentioned it, but it was the whole kind of it's weird. We talk about politics, but this is a different type of politics. Yeah, this is like generalized politics rather than specific agenda-driven politics. Yeah, so the politics of like doing good. Yeah, so for example, in the story, they let Wormtongue go. Yeah,
Yeah.
Aragorn stops the Theoden from killing Wormtail.
Yeah.
And that pays off. And it has this kind of, you do something good and something good will come back to you. You do something bad. So, for example, they let Gollum live. They could have killed him, but they had to put pity on him, and he's the reason that they can go through the bits with the rings and stuff like that. And then you've got the whole anti kind of industrial pro environment thing with the trees and the Ents and stuff, where you've got Isengard where it's turned into like a Victorian factory style setting, and then you've got and you've got nature fighting back against them. Yeah, and then there's the kind of anti-war stuff, yeah, where you kind of you get put down to the last lot of people defending that, this, that, and everything. They're talking about the kids, and it's like, these people have seen too many winters, these people haven't seen enough winters, yeah. And it has that kind of, you know, that, and it's like kind of the idea of holding out for hope in bits, where you've got like they're going to try and do their damnedest, even though that, you know, there's a chance that they're not going to make it through, and then the elves turn up to help them, and it has this kind of, it's almost karmic, if you know what I mean, yeah. Even though it's but being Tolkien, it was probably more based on Christianity than it was karma.
I mean, a lot of this was Tolkien going to war, leaving behind a green and pastoral England, and coming back to an England that had to turn into a factory of war, and a lot of the fields that where he lived had sprouted into factories for the war machine, the war effort, and that was his reaction to it. But you're I think he was more of a naturalist, because the Balrog is Mother Nature fighting back, because, you know, and they do touch on this, that the dwarfs got too greedy, they dug too deep, and this is what happens, you know, when you get too greedy, things happen, and the Balrog was the answer for that. And in this, you're right, again, the whole Isengard thing, and the way the Ents, you know, it was his way of saying that he wasn't recognizing his country, and he knew that the war wasn't done with, because the way it had been left off, that he predicted there would be another war in Europe, and he was right. Because, well, you know, some people think that Mordor was a comparison of Russia, but that's another matter. I don't know how true that is, but I like all three films. I don't like to rate them. I noticed that Biffa's rated them. I think I would rate Return of the King over Fellowship because of the battles. I mean, the scene.
Hang on, right. So hold on a second. So I'm gonna put a little challenge to Biffa. Yeah, it's very simple. Go back and watch it. Yeah, go back and try and watch all three of them if you can. But if not, just watch Return of the King for next week's podcast. Yeah, and then give us your thoughts on that, because you can.
Extended edition.
It'd be quite good to what do you call it? You could do it. You can send if you really want. You can send the points over email, and I'll read them out. Yeah, just see, because it was like Revenge of the Sith. I've changed my mind on Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, because Keith knows that I fucking couldn't stand Revenge of the Sith when it first came out. Yeah, and I've mellowed on it now. It may be because there was a lot of crap Star Wars. Yeah, yeah. But it may. But give it a watch and just see if you've changed your mind because of aging, unless you've watched it recently.
I've changed my mind on it when we watched them again. Yes, Tanith, The Hobbit. It was the Hobbit, then Lord of the Rings. Because we had to. What's going on here? My headphones are playing up. But yeah, it was.
What do you call it? I love the Two Towers because it feels the more complete film. It doesn't feel like it feels like I can jump in at the Two Towers and everything's fine. Yeah, it's just the chase at the beginning that's the bit that's off, and then everything else then seems to be on its own. Keith is there become deaf, and because he didn't charge his
I can hear you
headset. Okay.
I did. It's just that I think they're getting towards their end. I'm going to have to probably buy a new pair at some point.
All right. But
I mean, there's the scene. One of my favourite scenes, though, again, is the bit at the end where all of Isengard is flooded, and Merry and Pippin are sort of sitting there thinking they're going to die, and then one of them sees an apple floating, and then there's a fucking roast chicken, right? And they find this storage, and they're like, "Oh, I'm hungry," and then they look up, and there's barrels of wheat. Like,
yes,
looks like old Toby, and they're like.
Getting stoned.
Yeah, and they are off their tits. And that sets up Return of the King, because they're off their tits when at the beginning of Return of the King, when Gandalf, Theoden, the Legolas, and all of them turn up. And we didn't mention the scene in Two Towers at the beginning where they're searching for them, and they come upon the site that the horsemen of Rhiannon have like killed all those orcs, and they think at first that the two hobbits are in that thing, and Aragorn kicks a helmet, and that scream is real because he really did break his foot.
Yeah, he goes, "I'm doing it in one take. I'm not doing that again."
Viggo Mortensen is such a good actor, because I'm watching. Somebody told me to watch Green Book, and I've never watched it. And I started to watch it. I haven't finished it yet because I had to come on and do this. And Viggo Mortensen is playing like on the sort of slightly low-level gangster, but Italian mafia sort of gangster, and I don't see Aragorn at all. I see an Italian gangster. He's such a good character actor, and he to think he nearly didn't play Aragorn. It was going to be somebody else.
It was going to be Will Smith.
It was going to be Will Smith. It was not going to be Will Smith.
Matrix
Will Smith was lined up to be the Doctor at one point.
Yeah, I remember that. I read that. You gave me that newspaper outside your house. That was. I think that might have been the same night as I Can Feel Disturbance in the Force.
Yeah,
might have been. My brain might be mashing the memories together, putting them next to each other.
A lot of Doctor and other things. But God, blimey. Anyway, no, I'm looking forward because I've held off watching The Return of the King so that it would be fresh in my memory. So yeah, Biffa, watch it, the extended edition, because there's a lot more in the extended edition. And there's some important. The only thing that they left off, which we'll talk about next week. We'll talk about it next week because it all happens.
Okay. All right. Can I ask you something for our next batch of films that we're going to watch? Something a little fucking shorter so I can go to the gym.
You want to watch it on the treadmill?
I know, I like watching on TV because it's like, I remember I had to go up this morning and it was like I milled around for a bit, and then it's like 9 o'clock. It's like, fuck, go to the gym, come back, and then watch it. And I didn't watch the last 15 minutes of it. And it's like, oh, you missed the end. No. There's like a half hour. A whole half hour. Anyway. Let's wrap it up here. We've got Return of the King to talk about next week. We've got the end of the Acolyte.
Point of the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Where they're going to reveal that I'm calling it right now, right? The Asian Ezra Miller has got a boss. It's going to be Spiky Bitch, right? I'm telling you right now. And Soul and her are going to kill each other because Soul's going to die.
Do you know what? I think that they're so fucked in their Star Wars lore. It's going to be Darth Maul.
Yeah, probably. But I'm telling you now, May's going to end up being the good one, and Osha's going to go over to the dark side because no one saw that coming. I'm making predictions now because this show's so dumb and it follows so many fucking tried and trodden tropes. And actually, there's some things in this you've got to watch that really does say former assistants of Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. Anyway. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. See you next week. Bye-bye.